All right.
Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting. We are going to have our invocation. It will be a silent moment of prayer. It'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. All right, first we must conduct roll call. Commissioner DeMont Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Felicia Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner Gail Hambert.
Present.
Madam Clerk, we're all present and accounted for.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our June 15, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting. Our first order of business for tonight is adoption of the agenda. Do any members of the board want to offer any amendments?
Yeah, I got a couple I want to take off the consent agenda and place it on the regular agenda. First one is 2021-127, and that is resolution providing for the adoption of the Clayton County fiscal year 2022 budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moving in second. Those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Next item is 2021-132, which is resolution adopting a moratorium for the acceptance of application and zoning requests. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oh, you have a question? I have a question.
Yes, yes. And again,
Okay,
I'm taking it.
off the consent and moving to the, okay,
Yes, ma'am. Putting it on the regular agenda to be voted on separately.
okay.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Any others?
I have a question on the $10,000 to the city of Jonesboro. And I noticed that it's been added to the amendment for the budget, so I just need to know the proper time to ask that question.
There's no problem with us addressing it now. Yeah, go up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and Commissioners. So the $10,000 is added. That's the county's portion of the Public Safety Appreciation Concert held in conjunction with the city of Jonesboro from July the 3rd, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay. The reason I wanted to just ask about it, I think it's absolutely wonderful that we're honoring our public safety individuals. But considering that, this weekend I actually was at an event in the city of Morrow, and then a couple of other events that are occurring. And I don't know about the other commissioners, but it's a little, I have a question in regards to us choosing to give funds to one particular city versus where we have other cities that do events of like kind like this. And then on top of it, even as commissioners, we do events and we're not attributed funds to those said events. We have to go out and raise the money. The other thing is, with the public safety event, I really hope that folks that are in public safety would, I know they're going to enjoy it, but it's just a little interesting. I really wish that we could really put some energy and time into getting the life insurance up where it needs to be and then paying them, as opposed to doing something where they're technically not going to ever be off, because they're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even if they're at that event. So that was just my concern on it. I think it's a great opportunity to honor public safety, but again, we have 7 cities that are within our jurisdiction, and even as commissioners, we're not allotted funds for events?
Well, individually, we're not allowed the funds for say, but when the city comes up to us, then we collaborate with those cities. So if Riverdale came to us and wanted us to collaborate, I'm sure we would entertain that as well. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't believe that's been a problem in the past. Jonesboro has been real proactive in wanting to put on concerts, and just like the school system, we have no problem collaborating with them.
But Mr. Chairman, if I may add, so does Lovejoy, so does the city of Riverdale. And as a commissioner of District 3, I serve those cities directly. So that's my only concern.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Thank you, Madam CFO. Any other questions about or anything else about the agenda?
No.
All right, hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Our next item is a Sickle Cell Awareness Day proclamation. Commissioner Franklin.
Erica?
Is there anybody from Sickle Cell Foundation here? As she's coming, please come forward.
Here's my mask.
Clayton County Board of Commissioners proclaimed Sickle Cell Awareness Day, June 19, 2021. Whereas the health and safety of all Clayton County residents is important to the happiness, prosperity, and well-being of our county's families and communities. And whereas sickle cell disease is the most common blood disorder in the United States, affecting approximately 100,000 Americans, occurring in 1 out of every 365 African American births. And approximately 3 million Americans carry the sickle cell trait. And whereas sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disorder that affects hemoglobin, the molecule in red blood cells that delivers oxygen to cells throughout the body. And whereas signs and symptoms of sickle cell disease include low red blood cell count, repeated infections, and periodic episodes of pain, and these signs usually begin in early childhood. And whereas Clayton County remains dedicated to the provision of sickle cell screening, education, and medical care for individuals and families living with sickle cell disease through its support of the Georgia Department of Public Health's newborn screening program and the MTS Sickle Cell Foundation. And whereas since 2008, June 19th was officially designated as World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, the International Awareness Day is observed annually with the goal to increase public knowledge and understanding of sickle cell disease and the challenges experienced by patients and their families and caregivers. Now, therefore, I, Felicia Franklin, Commissioner on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby call on all citizens to wear red and join us as we proclaim June 19, 2021, Sickle Cell Awareness Day in Clayton County, Georgia. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 15th day of June in the year 2021.
on the team for junior commissioner, right? And she's done an absolutely amazing job. And if it's okay to say, the reason it's MTS is because it's my 3 sisters. So this beautiful young lady takes care of all 3 of her daughters who often have to go in for transfusions. And I think it's extremely important that we honor it every year. And this year in particular, Henry County, as well as the city of Morrow and the city of Riverdale have all joined in this and making it happen, as well as the city of Lovejoy, as you heard me speak before. So you really see a conglomerate effort to really bring awareness to this disease that are affecting so many in our community. And what better way to do it than on June 19th, because that is the day that we celebrate our independence as African Americans. So thank you so much.
Next, we will have our MARTA quarterly jurisdictional briefing.
Good evening, Chairman Turner and members of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners. I'm delighted to be here in front of you today. I have a briefing, and wonder if we could bring it up. I think it's you have it electronically already. There it is. I'll move along. So relatively short agenda. We'll cover some highlights of the budget that the Board of Directors has approved, give you an update on our 2040 expansion program, as well as an update on the federal. Do I have control on the next slide, or should I? No. Bring it to the next slide, please.
Does it work yet? I can click for you.
Okay, go to next slide, and then right to the next one. So we've recently approved the MARTA 2022 fiscal year budget, 10 years of consecutive balanced budgets without a fare increase. Some of the risks that we're anticipating, while we have had we anticipate a quicker sales tax recovery, we do see a relatively slower recovery of our fare revenue, and we will be applying some of the federal relief funds to make sure that we continue to support the operation during this recovery. Next slide, please. Included in our approved budget is some key projects here in Clayton County. As you can see, we're continue to make some significant investments in the county. One of the highlights is that we are advancing what we're calling Phase 2A of the Justice Center, where we will be bringing 2 Breeze machines by the end of this calendar year. As you know, we have completed Phase 1 and are working towards a complete build-out of that facility. But this articulates how much money we're investing on these key projects. Next slide. Do you want to go? You can go right to the next slide. Do you want to cover some highlights of the projects that we're advancing? The O&M facility, we have made a offer to the properties back in May. We are in concert with trying to move on acquiring the property. We are advancing the design of the facility. Summer of 2021, we will have the 30% design completed, on schedule to open the facility in 2026. And just want to point out that, excuse me, it's a significantly larger investment than we originally anticipated, 10 times larger than what was laid out in the 14th Amendment. So next slide. This is a graphic of the parcel that we're working towards acquiring. It is a 31-acre parcel, and once it's acquired and we construct this multi-use facility, we will have the operation and maintenance of a significant amount of our buses, as well as a place for a police substation. We will have several hundred employees working out of this facility. Next slide, please. Update on the Riverdale BRT project. We have selected the alignment Phase 1, which is College Park to South Lake, 17 miles long with 15 stations, and we've also divided Phase 2, which will come subsequently. The largest ridership is along our Phase 1. You can move to the next slide. We completed a significant amount of public outreach, and I want to give you an update on what we heard from the public. We had a public comment period the latter half of April into May. We had a significant participation. We had well over 1,000 viewers at our live streamed video on YouTube. We had well over 2,000 visitors to the project website, and we received 47 surveys, got a lot of great feedback. Some of that is here, and have used that feedback to help shape what the project will look like. So next slide, please. Hats off and appreciation to the county and the water authorities for supporting a grant application to the Federal Transit Administration. We're trying to seek between $1 million and $1.5 million to advance a transit-oriented development planning effort. And what this will do is we will be using this funds to really examine ways to improve economic development, identify infrastructure needs that will ultimately enable mixed-use development around the stations. So in effect, what we will be doing is, as we've identified these parcels here, we'll be working with the communities along this bus corridor to really identify where we can best facilitate investment around the bus stations, the BRT stations, and make sure that we're laying out plans for any needed zoning improvement or other infrastructure improvements that need to be made to facilitate this. And we'll be submitting this in June. Next slide. We've also continued to advance the system plan update. As you know, we had a road show back in 2020. We've continued the public comment period. We've got a tremendous amount of feedback. We have completed the implementation strategy, and we will be bringing that to the board adoption for the fall to the MARTA Board of Directors, and ultimately we will begin implementing those phase 1 recommendations as we've laid out in the schedule. Next slide. As you know, part of this is looking at some of the routes that we're programming, and we are advancing 2 new routes which will really provide significant east-west connectivity. One of the areas of improvements that we've discussed with the community is the need to have better east-west connectivity throughout the county, and so these 2 new bus routes, 197 and 198, will facilitate that. We're going to get board approval so that we can implement this at our August markup. That's when we implement changes, and ultimately this will, once we implement these 2 additional routes, we will have met the requirements that we agreed upon in the 15th Amendment, and also just want to recognize that we have exceeded the original plan that goes back to the 14th Amendment with 8 bus routes. So it's exciting to really have a network of bus routes that not only provide the north-south connectivity, but we've improved it. Next slide, please, and we can look at a little more in detail what these changes will look like. This is a view of these specific routes. The 196 will now operate the loop of Bethesda Road, Church Street, and State. The 197 will have a frequency of 45 to 60 minutes and operate from 5 a.m. to midnight and 6 a.m. to midnight on the weekends. And we're also going to implement the 198, which will also operate from 5 a.m. To midnight, and on weekends from 6 a.m. to midnight. So here is the changes that we're making, and as you can see, we're also adjusting the 196 to improve some operational efficiencies on those southbound trips. Next slide. So we did hold some hearings to get some input about these proposed service changes. The comment period ended on July 14th. We did stream that on both Facebook and YouTube. We had a total of 356 visitors. We had a 1 hour, the first hour was dedicated to a community exchange period where customers were able to give us some candid feedback about these changes. And MARTA customers will be notified through service modifications as we ultimately implement these routes, and this will include some canvassing along the routes, route signage, as well as social media to make sure everybody understands the changes as we implement them. Next slide. I want to give an update on our federal opportunities. You can go right to the next slide. We were fortunate to have the Secretary of the U.S. DOT visit us a couple weeks ago. Spent a lot of time talking about all of the ambitious plans that we have throughout the MARTA jurisdictions, particularly the ones in Clayton County. and the City of Atlanta that are funded. We got a lot of great feedback, and I think we have some really strong opportunities to be able to get some additional federal funds for these important projects. So next slide. And finally, I just want to talk about some key partnerships. We did clearly recognize the loss of Commissioner Gregory, an incredibly sad day, and our deepest condolences. We did recognize her on Saturday the 5th with honoring her with some recognition on our buses, and I did put out a statement. So just wanted to make sure that we recognized how important she was to MARTA and how much we recognize all of her support that she gave us. So we will truly miss her. Next slide, please. We also supported the grand opening of the Flint River Community Center back on April 24th. We had supported the on-site celebration with a giveaway of some MARTA swag, and we're happy to support important efforts like this. Next slide. And just to wrap up, we have been supporting the mass vaccination site that the state had put together, subsequently closed. It was in operations from February 22nd to the 21st. While it was originally laid out as a drive-up facility, we worked with the state to provide door-to-door service from College Park directly to the museum, the Delta Air Museum, so that people who were riding MARTA may not have access to their automobile was able to get a vaccination. They were able to actually book directly as someone who was walking up and using MARTA to get there. So that concludes my remarks, and I'll turn it back to the chairman.
Well, let me just say I appreciate the quarterly updates. They are always informative, and also I believe I've seen
I
MARTA
apologize.
board. Yes.
Yeah, I want to recognize Roberto Abdul Salam for coming, and the other board members who support us. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes, sir. Are there any questions for Mr. Parker?
You stated something about the Breeze card. As far as the Justice Center, do we have the Breeze machine in there as of yet?
We don't have one in there as yet. We will be installing one by the end of this year. We're working right now on making sure that we can get computer connectivity so that we can work out and make sure that we have the power and Wi-Fi in order to operate it. So.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question regarding the maintenance facility. Maybe I missed the date, the start date and all, and has the property been purchased?
So the property has not been purchased yet. We have made an offer to the property owners. We're in negotiations with the property owners right now, with the hopes of coming up with an agreed upon value that they would be willing to sell the property. We have, while we're in negotiations, we have a lot of positive sense that the negotiations are going well. We also have, as I've laid out before, the process that we use to acquire property is that if we do get to an impasse and can't take the property through an agreed upon amount, we then would work with the City of Forest Park to take the property. So we're on track to get that real estate transaction done that will ultimately support the opening of that facility as planned in 2026. So it's moving along well, and as we're going through the acquisition process, we're physically designing the facility so that we can move quickly towards the construction of the facility once we're owning that property.
Okay, do you have a date in mind that, as far as that negotiation, when will the actual, proposed sale take place?
It's really going to depend on if it's an agreed upon purchase. That should happen this year. If it's an agreed upon purchase and it will clearly be a longer process if we have to take the property. I think the key message here is that, we are clearly on time to meet the deadlines that we've agreed to in the 15th Amendment. So sometime this year, maybe into next year, depending on whether or not the purchase is done through a friendly, agreed-upon purchase, or whether it, has to be taken.
Okay, because I just didn't realize that it would be 2026 as a target date for opening.
Yeah, those are the dates that have been in the 15th Amendment, and that's, what we have been working towards all along. So that date has not changed.
Yeah, that was in your last update as well, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir, for your presentation. As
Thank you.
always, thank you for being here.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Madam Clerk.
The board will now hear public comments, the total of 30 minutes. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time to speak. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparaging remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Rosa Escamilla. And as she's coming, I see on the sign-up sheet, some of you are signed up to make public comments during our public hearings for the zoning requests. When we get to the zoning part of the agenda, at the end of the agenda, you will have an opportunity when we have our public hearings to speak at that time. You're still welcome to come forward and speak if you would like, but the time to speak on any zoning hearing would be at the end of the agenda. So just put it out there. Yes, ma'am. State your name and your county.
Yeah, my name is Rosa Escamilla, and I here speaking about the property.
What county you live in, ma'am?
Huh?
What county do you live in?
I live in Clayton, in Henry County, but the property I'm talking about is in Clayton County.
Okay, please proceed.
It's 5800 Stage Road, Rex, Clayton County. I buy this property in an auction, and then they say it was improving property. And when we check in the internet, it was a house in there. But when I went to see the property I buy it's no house, it's just a piece of land. And the thing is, that piece of land, they have a lien. And then I don't think it's fair to buy a property in auction with a lien, because the lien, it was for the previous owner. And I already had 3 years with the property. I would like to see if they can take it away with the lien. I already lose so much money because I'm buying $27,000 and the value is $17,000.
So when you bought the property, you found out it has a lien on it.
Yes.
I thought they wouldn't be able to sell the property
Yeah, but
even
they
in
sell it.
auctions.
Mm-hmm. They selling, so I would like to know if the lawyers, they can avoid the lien in the property.
Mr. Reed, if you would give her a card, and maybe you can talk through exactly what transpired and maybe give her some direction.
She's talked to our office.
Oh, has she?
And I'll be talking to the board about her issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Somebody be in touch.
Thank you.
Myrtle Halton. Myrtle Halton. Timothy Vondale Jefferson.
Timothy Vondale Jefferson, unincorporated Clayton County. As I was expounding about last board meeting, I wanted to bring to the board's attention that about the corruption that has personally occurred with me. Now, my lawyers are probably going to get a little upset with me, but at the end of the day, I have to speak my piece. I have, for the last 4 months, I've been attacked by the Clayton County Sheriff Department and Commissioner Felicia Franklin Warner. Within this police report, I have been falsely accused of false arrest, quite a few things, but we'll deal with that later. But the most important thing that after Commissioner Felicia Franklin Warner took out stalking charges out on me that was dismissed on March 2nd of 2021. This situation has persisted and has directly affected my business because of the he say, she say. I've had judges to stop me and wanted to know what's going on between me and Commissioner Franklin. Nothing that I know of. So I want something unequivocally clear. I signed up for this. Commissioner Franklin signed up for this. I was arrested on false charges on March the 16th of 2021. Had to go to the hospital for 2 days because of my condition. But the part that really crossed the line, Commissioner Felicia Franklin called my stepson on March the 17th at approximately 9 o'clock at night and tried to get him to testify against me, to build a case against me. Now, after tough love in 2014, he's a successful high school basketball coach in Cobb County. He was quite disturbed. Now, these allegations, these false allegations, have got to stop. You can attack me, but my family is off limits, and I want to make that unequivocally clear. Her alleged bodyguard, Lieutenant McGee, is the one who persisted on the false charges against me because she allegedly said I was stalking her, so she needed a bodyguard at the taxpayer's expense. And I just want to make it unequivocally clear that this nonsense needs to stop. So my lawyers are doing what they need to do. I just want to dispose the nonsense of this commissioner with his fraudulent charges. Thank you.
Orlando Gooden. Yes, sir.
Orlando Gooden, Clayton County. Actually, I was supposed to do this at the last meeting, but the Alzheimer's Senior Center took precedence. I have received calls from people looking to relocate from New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Their first question is, do you like living in Atlanta? I tell them I live in Clayton County. I ask them what are they looking for. They all say a safe, clean place without having to pay high taxes for crime and trash. I tell them the crime rate in Clayton County has been going down. The Board of Commissioners are putting plans in place to keep the county clean and programs for economic development. The crime rate in Atlanta is going up. Murders are up 57%, shootings are up 44%, arrests are down 43%. In New York, they cut the police budget by $1 billion, disbanded the street crime and gang units, 7,000 officers have left the force, and the crime rate is up 157%. Philadelphia has over 200 homicides since the beginning of the year, and Chicago is now the new Dodge City. Clayton County should be an oasis of safety in the desert of rising crime. That's how I look at it. We talked about what's going on at the border and is spreading throughout the country. Illegals are being sent to sanctuary cities. From 2018 to 2021, these are the Center of Immigration Studies that I referred to, listed Clayton, DeKalb, and Clark as sanctuary counties. In 2018, I was told that the Center of Immigration Studies had made a mistake. Then we need to fix this, because there will be an increase in drugs, human trafficking, and gangs all of our essential services will be strained and school class sizes will double. The mayor of Atlanta said, "I will not turn over illegal aliens to ICE." Our blueprint for success is found in the Commissioner's 2019 retreat summary. Commissioner Franklin is right. Use those strategies to move to the next level. For example, the quality of homes that they build in Brookhaven is what we want, because we have what builders are looking for: location, safety, and a clean environment. Therefore, we don't have to settle. The success of this county comes down to 3 individuals. Here, I'm looking. You, Chairman, COO Dietrich Stanford, and Ramona Bivens and her staff, CFO. That is the foundation for our success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mickey Garber.
Mr. Chairman, may I remove my mask?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, Mickey Garber, unincorporated, Rex, Georgia. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and fellow citizens, my comments tonight will be on the Commission's plan to institute mandatory trash pickup, and to bring to the forefront what mandatory trash pickup will do and will not do. Number one, mandatory trash pickup puts small garbage haulers out of business, and they can't compete and can't meet capital investment. Mandatory trash pickup takes choice out of the public hands. Mandatory trash pickup takes competitiveness out of the equation and keeping prices down. The questionnaire, with no public meetings on mandatory trash pickup, is not being transparent. You have a problem with transparency here. 95% of hardworking, tax-paying homeowners, voters, already have their own trash pickup. You are trying to reinvent the wheel. All of us are not guilty of the trash problem, but all of us are responsible. There's a multi-headed, multifaceted problem and needs a combination of solutions. Mandatory trash pickup is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What you are planning with mandatory trash pickup is like punishing all your children for what one child did wrong. Chairman Turner, in your letter to the public, you stated, community and business. Communities cannot thrive unless they bridge the gap between community and business. And Clayton County is no different. We need leadership in the schools, businesses, and individuals. Using code enforcement as an arm of the police department to collect non-payment of non-compliant persons in mandatory trash pickup is bordering on extortion.
Your time is up, sir.
To be continued.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Garber, I would like to let you know that we in District 4 have had discussions on trash pickup at our community forum and community meetings.
I need to come to your meetings.
Second Saturday of every month.
Second Saturday of it.
11
I don't
a.m.,
have
yeah.
to Zoom, do I?
Right now, you have to Zoom.
Well, I can't do that. You need to make a place for me in public.
Soon.
Just like here.
Soon, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Lawanda, Falami.
Have a preservation too sharp, now remove my mask.
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings, Chair.
Greetings.
And governing body. LaWanda Falami, Clayton County, City of Forest Park. I'm here on behalf of the City of Forest Park of Clayton County. Right now, we're having an issue with the housing authority that lies in our city, but it is a county
Come closer
agency.
to the mic, speaking of the mic.
A county agency. And I am getting a lot of calls about the behaviors of the board's member and staff that is operating that particular facility right now. It set my heart due to the fact that this board was founded in 1982, and out of all those years, we never had this type of foolishness that is going on. The board doesn't have an ounce of knowing what they are doing. I would stand on that. They really need some training. I don't know how often you all get an opportunity to go and visit, but I think you need to take out a little time and stop in without them knowing. We have two issues. We started out with the renter, and we started out with the mortgage program that was given back to people who was in a pandemic or hardship. We had one treasurer by the name of Mr. Frambro that intercept with the operation of business for people who was going through hardship and hard time in the pandemic are getting funds advocated back to the community. We have a chair who's taking the name or his name, putting them on the letterhead of our housing authority. Nevertheless, it would take me about 2 days to bring you up to speed. But on the other week, my representative, Sandra Scott, sent out a letter on behalf of one young lady who worked for that department. And she was terminated without her knowledge and worked for a week and a half without pay. How would you like to work without pay? When the letter went out among my colleagues and back to this board, the board gave a response back in a so negative, unprofessional manner that I couldn't believe he would respond that way. First, he called the representative foolish, fool, dummy. He also called Commissioner Hamrick foolish, dumb, and whatever. But I think because time doesn't give me permit, you can get my number from me, and I would definitely need you to come get with me. My commissioner, God bless her heart, she transitioned. If she were here, I know she would work aside me. But we must put a halt on all that foolishness at the Housing Authority in Forest Park. I am getting too many calls, and I'm not on nobody's board. I do not want to be on any one board. And at the end of the day, Commissioner, you all come up there and get that house in order. It is so out of order. And whenever you have an agency that's supposed to be relocated from the federal government and the constituents not getting back what has been brought to the community, and they say they are out of fund, the devil is a lie. Somebody may be in corruption. I yield my time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Retibolus Curtis. Retibolus Curtis. Jean, are you? Please come forward, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Retibolus Curtis. I'm a resident of Clayton County, and I'm here about zoning that's going on for buildings and condominiums that's in the back of my house.
Would you like to speak now or when we
Well, I
have
can
the
speak
public
later.
hearing?
I can do it later.
Oh, yes, ma'am. You'll have an opportunity later to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Jean Chaston.
She will also want to speak later on the same issue.
Okay. Looks like Charles Matter.
I'll speak later.
Okay. Mary Keith.
Yes, I'll speak later. Same issue.
Thank you, ma'am. Marvin Copeland. Did he say speak later?
Yes.
Is that what he said? Okay. Madam Clerk, that concludes public comment.
The board will now approve the consent agenda.
All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The first item is item number 17, Resolution 2021-127, a resolution providing for the adoption of Clayton County fiscal year 2022 budget.
Mr. Reed? Give it just a second as they're exiting out. Okay, please proceed.
I have Resolution 2021-127, which is a resolution providing for the adoption of the Clayton County fiscal year 2022 budget, to provide for the appropriation of expenditures and accounting of anticipated funding sources, to provide for the circumstances under which the budget may be amended by the Board of Commissioners, the chairman or the chairman's designee, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve? Or motion,
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta have a hearing. Not a hearing, but, well, why didn't she just open it up? Okay. Hold off on the motion.
yes, sir.
Please,
Good evening
enlighten
again.
us. Madam Bivens.
Okay, on June the 1st, we had our required public hearing on the fiscal year 2022 budget, and at that time, we proposed a general fund budget of $231.1 million. Since then, we've had some amendments that we have to present to you to consider this evening and approve as part of that fiscal year 2022 budget. We are requesting to add $1,256,717 in expenses and revenue. On the expenditure side, we're adding $20,000 for part-time wages for communications department for the part-time videographer that's currently there, so we can keep maintain that position. We're adding $20,000 for the tax commissioner's office for their FIFA expenses. Those are fees that they pay to the courts, pay for court filings. We're adding the funds for the interim sheriff is $206,717. That's for salaries and benefits. We're adding the $10,000 that I discussed earlier for the Public Safety Appreciation Concert in conjunction with the City of Jonesboro on July 3rd. And we're adding $1 million to add landscaping to countywide facilities. And that, the $1 million will be a one-time capital expenditure that will be funded out of the appropriation of fund balance of $1 million. And then the remaining $256,717 will be funded out of by us increasing the revenue for local option sales tax. So the total amendments again is $1,256,717. We're requesting that we adopt the fiscal year 2022 general fund budget in the amount of $232,355,990. As you know, we have to adopt a total budget which includes all funds. And I left my piece of paper. So again, the general fund is $232,355,990. Special revenue funds $43,903,433. Debt service fund $2,034,991. Internal service funds $25,233,782. Enterprise funds $3,232,614. The pension trust fund $45,454,100. Total budget, all funds that we're requesting for you to approve this evening is $352,214,910. We're proposing to maintain the current millage rate, I believe it's 15.089. And also, if you notice, the capital projects funds did not have an amount there. The SPLOST funds are multi-year funds which automatically carry over at the end of each fiscal year. Those projects were approved, have been approved already by board in a prior resolution. And that's all I have.
All right, well, now I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Motion to
Is there a
approve the
second?
amendments.
I'll second the motion. Are there any questions?
I do have one. On the sheriff's salary and benefits?
Yes.
How many individuals did we have to, I guess, increase salaries or?
Okay, so we have to add the money to pay for the interim sheriff, and that interim sheriff's salary is not the same rate as the current sheriff, but it's set by HB 558.
Right.
And as I spoke before, we talked about the elected officials, we have to calculate it two ways. So because this would be like a new position with no longevity, we would have to set this salary by HB 558 at 143,933, and with the salaries and benefits, it comes to 206,717.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Next.
The next item is item number 22, Resolution 2021-132, a resolution adopting a moratorium on the acceptance of all applications for zoning, conditional use, or site development permits for review or consideration by Clayton County. And I'm going to stop and let you have it.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and Board. I have Resolution 2021-132, which is a resolution adopting a moratorium on the acceptance of all applications for rezoning, conditional use, or site development permits for review and consideration by the Clayton County Transportation and Development and Community Development Departments as they relate to existing or proposed property uses within Commissioner District 1 in Clayton County, to be in effect from enactment through and including October 1st, 2021, to adopt an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
All right, is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept Resolution 2021-132.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Not a question, but for me, this moratorium, I would hate to see District 1 shut down simply because this is a busy time. Over the summer, we have a lot of projects that people will have proposals for as far as bringing some business into Clayton County, and I would definitely hate to lose out on any good development that could come into District 1, especially during this busy time, the summer months. The election for a District 1 commissioner takes place in September
21st, I believe.
21st. If there is a runoff, it goes into October, so basically that's about 4 or 5 months that will be without any kind of development. And that's more of a statement, just stating my opposition as to I'm all pro-business and want to see quality businesses come throughout Clayton County. Are there any other questions or statements?
I do. As far as, it says on the acceptance of applications, so are we saying here that folks cannot go to community development to begin to apply? Or are we saying that we are going to, in a sense, hold this from voting until we have somebody to represent District 1?
So if this passes beginning tomorrow, then it will they won't be able to accept applications for rezoning, conditional use, or site development permits unless they're already in the process. And if someone feels like they've already started, there's a process within that allows the board to be able to listen to that and see whether they should continue to go on. But this won't stop things that are already present. This will just stop new things from coming as of if this passes as of today.
So best case scenario, and I think Madeline probably is more equipped to answer this question, we're talking 4 months until someone takes office. If we have a runoff, it could be as long as 5.5, 6 months. How far, as far as the normal process for a business to apply, get approved, and begin doing business, how much does this set somebody back like that? And the second part of that question would be, even if we did accept the applications, we could still hold off on voting on them, correct? But those applications could still be processed.
Well, this resolution says not to accept applications.
Correct.
I can address the timetable. I'll let Mr. Reed address the difference between accepting and processing, whether or not we can accept them and hold them. But the zoning process itself takes about 2.5 months. So that's once you're into this, we've accepted the application and begin to process it. It takes you 2.5 months to get through the process. So assuming if we were not accepting any, then that delay would be added, 2.5 months be added on to at the point in time we do decide to accept them.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you get your answer?
I did.
Or does Mr. Reed?
No.
Did you want to know about?
Oh, yes, the other portion.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So the other part of whether we could accept them and hold them, well, once they are accepted, there's a clock that ticks, and so unless the person was willing to apply and hold it, I think that their expectation is once they apply that they would expect things to move forward.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, Mrs. Hambrick, but I do have a comment. And I would like to know and to see that the people of District 1 will be represented. All of us can say, and we can look at each other's district and know, I mean, they're different. And I think a representative from the area would know better than other commissioners from the other districts what's good for the people there. And I would like to see us hold off until they are represented. They have a person that they have elected to represent them, to take care of the zoning and the other issues. I think the other one was appointing people for the different boards.
Yeah, and that one passed, I believe, already in the consent
Yes,
agenda.
It did.
The only thing I'll add to that is, again, it's a bad look for us to appear to be closed for business. Being elected by the entirety of the county as the chairman, represent those people as well as each of the people in each of your districts as well. And I've taken it upon myself to make sure that I stay in touch with the citizens in that district to give them some added representation during this interim period. But that's just my input in terms of representation. Any other questions?
Well, I do have a comment. I believe that, yes, we want fair representation for people of that district. And in honor of Commissioner Singleton, we want to begin to abide by some of her wishes. But we know we still have to do business in this county. And I'm wondering, could we even modify this to where we can accept and process these applications? But on certain ones, we can even table them when they came in time for zoning, but at least they're not held up in the process cycle.
Well, we couldn't table them. We
Well,
could ask
yes.
for the petitioner to table it or to hold off until the representative, if it is a petition that might be, for say, controversial with the public. But I truly believe in public input, and any development that's coming, there should be public meetings getting the public input before a decision is made in the first place. Commissioners handle it different ways, but that's the way I would look at it.
Well, and I guess would Commissioner Hambrick be willing to entertain? Yeah, you're right, I did.
No, she made the motion.
The challenge to that would be that there is nothing that would require that person, that developer, or anyone to agree to table.
Correct.
And so they could, of course, just wait and see what happened if you all chose to approve it or not. But that wouldn't stop them from continuing to move forward with
the application
the application process.
Right.
And of course, no developer is going to want to sit around, and if they're ready to go and develop something, they're not going to sit around and say, okay, I'll make an application and then 6 months later start the process.
Understand.
That adds another 2 or 3 months on top of that.
And I think that's why I asked Ms. Spann that question. And even if they were, say, someone were to come in tomorrow to begin the application process, we're looking at September when it would be coming probably before us at best. So why not allow them to at least get into the process, even though it's not coming, and hopefully we will have somebody in place. right after that.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Franklin.
this is one of the reasons I did inquire in the email that I sent, that I too got a very interesting response to. Because I think that regardless of our opinions as individual board members, the bottom line is we have to have a clear-cut process in place, and that's documented and outlined based upon our county code. So even in the statement that was made earlier about representation, I'm clear on that. But the code clearly states that as chair over operations, I get that. But each district in its own authority has a commissioner that is over that district. So I think that this is an opportunity for us to flesh out a process that can be documented in our records here in the county, so that as we run into this, because I know it's probably not the first time ever, it can't be since Clayton County has begun, but we have to have something formalized and in place that is in line with our county code.
Commissioner Franklin, let me also add that although I do have operational oversight, I also am a commissioner or a chairman on this board, and any zoning request takes a majority of the board to pass. I have one vote, just like everybody else on this board. So therefore, even though that you may approve or disapprove of a project in your district, if the majority of the board, which I have one vote on, can't pass or decline on a project. So therefore, just by virtue of having a vote, I do believe I'm within my rights to provide additional representation throughout this county.
Mr. Reed, would you please read the code that you sent over about direct representation? I think we need to stick to the code.
Well, the actual code, each commission district is set forth in the county's code. If you give me a minute, I can pull up what that actual district is, but...
And when I can do that, Mr. Reed, is not to dismiss the individual vote, but I think it's extremely important that we get clear direction on the county code. Again, you just need to follow a process and procedure based upon the code and move forward from there.
So Article, Part 1, Article 2, Section 2-2B1 sets forth the commissioner district for one, and it sets out what parcels and tracts make up that individual district. Furthermore, it lays out that it lays all 4 district commissioner districts within the county. And of course, that the chairman is elected by all citizens within the county, but there is a particular district by which the commissioner of the residents of District 1 do elect their direct commissioner to represent that district.
Do they elect a chairman too?
Thank you, sir.
Do they elect a chairman too?
Yes, the code allows for all members, all citizens within the county to elect
Boundaries of Clayton County to elect a chairman.
Correct.
You know, I think this is also an opportunity where I believe we need to begin to look at a succession plan. God forbid anything like this ever happen again, but I believe we need to be well equipped if that time were to come again, that we would have a succession plan in place to begin to combat some of these issues that are arising here.
Mr. Davis, if you could provide clarity to me, you say succession plan, it has to be by vote, sir, I'm not sure.
I understand that. That's why I said begin to research of the ability to put a succession plan in place.
Am I correct? We just have to get something in the code that's concrete.
Do we have
But
a
at any rate, that's all I wanted to bring to our attention.
Do we have a succession plan in place for, or are we abiding by the states, by the state?
When you say
Succession plan
you
if
mean
a
for-
commissioner, in the passing of a commissioner or chairman?
There are laws that govern when and how a commissioner is re-elected or
appointed.
after, if there's a vacancy.
Okay, are there any counties in Georgia that, if something like this were to happen, were appointing a temporary commissioner?
I would have to do some research to see if that is the case. I'd have to do some research to find that out, if there's any counties without in the entire state that have something like that.
Great.
And the question would be, would home rule even allow us to do that? And would we have to go through the state to get that change to allow to do? But I mean, either way, it's worth the exercise. But I'm ready to move forward on whatever we're going to do.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right, those in favor, aye.
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 Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
So 2-2, it goes nowhere. Stays open. Next.
I have a question about that, about
Yes,
it
ma'am.
goes nowhere.
Yes, ma'am.
So Chuck, what happens if something comes? What process do we follow?
You would follow the current guidelines of the code, which mean that if a person applied, then there isn't, you all do not have codified in your ordinance that the district commissioner is the person who makes the recommendation. As a matter of practice, you all have been doing that for as long as I've been around.
Right.
So there wouldn't be the commissioner, District 1 would not have the person that would be making that vote to say yay or nay. It would likely
anyone.
fall to the chairman to make a decision on whether to make the recommendation, and then it would be seconded and voted upon by this board, majority vote.
Well, this is where I keep going back to the code, and I know it has nothing to do with who's, I mean, let me wait before I speak. What if I'm speaking another term?
Yes, Commissioner Franklin.
I'm just a real proponent of process and documented process. I hear you, Mr. Reed, and it's not, it's not to anyone that is in the seat of the chair, but the bottom line is the code is very clear that when it comes to voting, and Mr. Chair, I'm clear on you being over operations, I'm clear on you being elected by all. But at the end of the day, if it's that each board member has an individual vote and the majority of the board, clearly based upon our enabling, clearly based upon our county codes, which is not just the section that was read, but even 2-6, it's the majority of the board. So then it would have to be incumbent upon anyone on the board to make that motion. And that I have cleared with the state, because when I first got in office, I asked about that. There is no particular jurisdiction, as the chairman did state rightly so, when it comes to zoning to where it's only the matter of one commissioner. But the code is clear, the enabling is clear. It's the majority vote, and everybody's vote carries the same weight. We're not set up like the city of Atlanta. We're not set up like DeKalb County. There is no different weight to these votes. So I just beg to ask that we get more clarification as we move forward, only because it's extremely important that we have a clear and outlined a process and procedure that abides with our county code and county enabling.
And let me say that I probably was not very clear. What I was saying, that responding to Commissioner Hambrick's question, you all do not have a process outlined in the ordinance that when a matter comes up on the zoning in a particular commissioner district, that the commissioner district is the one that must make the recommendation in order for the rest of this board to decide whether that should or should not go. There is nothing in our ordinance or procedures that you all have set as policy for you all to govern zoning matters in that sense. So
Correct.
yes, Commissioner, you are correct. Any commissioner, the zoning is done by a majority vote of the Board of Commissioners through the code. As a practice, however, you all have deferred to the particular district commissioner in zoning matters. As long as I've been here, you all have deferred to that district commissioner to make a recommendation as to what they want to see in their particular district. So, given that there is not a commissioner that is now holding the seat for Commissioner District 1, it defaults back to how our meetings run. The code gives the chair the authority to how the meetings are run, which is why I said it would likely defer back to the chair to say, well, where there's an absence of a commissioner in that district, that he could make that recommendation. But that could be anybody. Any of you all could make that recommendation.
Or a motion.
Or, I'm sorry, make the motion for Commissioner District 1. But I'm saying as a practical matter, if he's running the meeting, he could make that. But you're correct. Any of you all on any zoning matter can make a motion to approve, and it's a majority vote from the entire board that operates on when something is passed throughout the county. Hopefully that was more clear.
Okay, so let's move on. Madam Clerk, what's next?
The next item is item number 25, board appointment, mental health.
All right, there's one board appointment, the Mental Health DD&A Board. Ms. Victoria Williams' term will expire June 30th, 2021. New term will begin June 30th, 2021 and will expire June 30th, 2024. It's a 3-year term at large. Any recommendations? I'm going to recommend that reappoint Ms. Victoria Williams. I did speak to her and she does want to continue. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next item will be item number 27 instead of 26. It is BOC 2003-0045, which is a rezoning, request to rezone RS-180 to PUD Community Development.
Item number BOC 2003-0045. The applicant, Battle Law PC, on the behalf of Blackstone Investment Company, is requesting to rezone 25 acres of land from RS-180 single-family residential to PUD planned unit development for a proposed new 100-unit single-family attached townhome community known as the Towns at Flat Shoals. The subject property is located at 1821 Creel Drive. It has road frontage along the north side of Creel Drive near the intersection of West Fayetteville Road, just east of the Castlegate subdivision and Flat Shoals Park. The parcel ID number is identified on your agenda. Staff recommendations for approval conditional. Zoning advisory group recommendations are for approval with conditions. There are numerous conditions.
Go ahead and read those conditions.
There are 14 conditions. To sound in these 14 conditions. The development shall be conditioned to the site plan, dated and revised on 2/24/21, titled preliminary, not construction, submitted to staff via email on February 26, 2021. Condition number 2, provide a minimum of 1 curb cut from Creel Drive, designed per Clayton County Land Disturbance and Right-of-Way Construction Guidelines. Primary access to the development shall also be provided from West Fayetteville Road, subject to the approval of the Transportation and Development Department and GDOT prior to the issuance of a land disturbance permit. Should the access from West Fayetteville not be approved by GDOT, the request will require reconsideration by the Board of Commissioners. Condition number 3. There shall be a minimum 6-foot-high solid fence provided along the west property line to screen the townhome lots from the adjacent homes on Twin Creek Court. Condition number 4. There shall be no more than 100 fee simple single-family townhome units. Condition number 5, no parking shall be permitted along the interior streets and no parking signs shall be posted along the streets. A minimum 1-space parking garage per fee simple lot shall be provided for a total of 3 off-street parking spaces per unit. Said off-street parking shall not encroach or overhang the sidewalk. Condition number 6, not less than 51 additional off-street parking spaces for visitors shall be provided and spread out over the development as shown on the site plan. Condition number 7, maintain the natural green space and the floodplain to the north in its natural state in perpetuity. Condition number 8, provide stormwater and floodplain management as required by the Clayton County Water Authority. Condition number 9, provide land area for the future walking trail connecting the natural green space area to Flat Shoals Park. Condition number 10, prior to the recording of the final plat, the developer shall provide proof of the land development department that the stream banks located within the boundaries of the property have been cleaned off of all trash and debris. Condition number 11, the building facade materials shall be a mixture of brick, hardy plank, and fiber shake and other fibrous cementous siding. Use of vinyl siding shall be strictly prohibited except for trim purposes. Condition number 12, the primary monument sign for the community shall be placed at the front entrance off of West Fayetteville Road, with a secondary community identification sign placed off the entrance of Creel Drive. Condition number 13, a mandatory homeowners association shall be created and shall be governed by a declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions. The homeowners association shall be responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of all required buffers, open space, amenity areas, stream banks, buffers, and pedestrian paths. Additionally, the declaration of restricted covenants for the community shall contain the following provisions. One being, no more than 10% of the units shall be rental units at any one time, and short-term rentals for less than 30 days strictly prohibited. Anyone asking to lease their unit shall have been an occupant of the unit for at least 1 year. The HOA dues and assessments shall cover the periodic cleaning of all trash and debris within the stream banks and buffers located on the property. Those are the 13 recommended conditions worked out with staff and the applicant. The applicant has requested an additional condition, number 14, to be added, which reads, prior to the issuance of the land development permits for this project, the applicant shall dedicate to GDOT and/or Clayton County the amount of right-of-way needed along the West Fayetteville Road and Creel Drive to allow for the development of a second left turn lane at the intersection of Creel Drive and West Fayetteville Road. That concludes 14 conditions before the board.
This is for decision only, correct?
This is a public hearing. This has been tabled for several times.
I thought I saw something on the screen that said decision only. But this is a public hearing. Is the applicant present? Was this Ms. Battles? I think she's online.
Yes, she's.
Yes, Michelle Battle here, 1 West Court Square, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. Staff has my PowerPoint.
Ms. Battle, you'd like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal?
Sure, 5 minutes is fine.
5 minutes, okay.
I don't want my time to start.
No, not yet. Can you see on your screen the development?
I can. They still have the staff presentation up.
Oh, there's a. Okay, give them just a minute.
This is fine. I think this is where I can start from here.
Okay, let's put 5 minutes on the screen, please. Go ahead, ma'am.
We have worked very hard and diligently over the past almost year now to address the issues and concerns that have been raised by the community with regard to this project. We started out at 121 units with a land use change. We, at the request of Commissioner Hambrick, dropped the land use change request and dropped the total number of units to 100 units, which is consistent with the current land use plan. Additionally, we agreed to the 1-car garage and the 2-car pad in the front with a minimum of 51 guest parking spaces to ensure that we keep cars off the street, along with the condition that prohibits on-street parking. Additionally, we agreed to the perimeter fencing adjacent to the existing subdivision, which was the request of the residents in that subdivision to ensure the protection of their rear yards. We also added an additional street access off of West Fayetteville Road to allow for more traffic to turn in without having to come down Creel Road. We also relocated the detention pond to reduce the possible impact on the adjacent community so that it was more centralized on the site. We also agreed to clear the debris from the creek banks to make sure that debris was not continuing to flow down into the other communities. This project also has a total of 70% open space at 17.57 acres versus the 20%, 5.03 acres that is required, which is a significant difference. While some of that is floodplain, some of that is also developable land. And then finally, there's been much concern about traffic along Creel Drive. We actually obtained a traffic study, and we also had to do a ICE waiver study for GDOT to address the traffic control issues within the area. Even after we provided the recommendations and included the recommendations from our transportation staff that did not actually ask for the traffic study, we went forward anyway with the traffic study to make sure that we were addressing all of the issues and concerns that have been raised. Even after the traffic study did not make this recommendation, we, however, have volunteered to add additional dedication of right-of-way to allow for the county and GDOT to install an additional left turn lane onto West Fayetteville Road. There apparently is a lot of traffic at that intersection, a lot of backup further down Creel Drive. Adding the additional left turn lane, we believe, will help relieve some of the traffic congestion at the intersection. The issue that previously had been presented was that there was not sufficient right-of-way in order to make that additional left turn lane viable. So we are volunteering to dedicate sufficient right-of-way to do that. We have had conversations with Jeff Matarco as well as with representatives from GDOT. We have provided them with the plan that you are seeing before you to show that we can provide enough right-of-way that would allow for the additional turn lanes to be installed. And obviously those would be done at the expense of the county and or GDOT. But the first thing was to just have enough land to actually do it and show a plan that would allow for it. So we have done that, and we have placed the condition on ourselves that we will make sure that that land gets dedicated. And with all of that, we respectfully request the approval of the application subject to the conditions presented by staff.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody here who would like to speak in favor of the applicant's request? Anybody would like to speak in favor of? Anybody would like to speak in favor? All right. Let's go to those who would like to speak in opposition to. Anybody would like to speak in opposition to applicant's request? Please come forward. We'll start with the lady in the black right here. Yes, ma'am. Set 10 minutes on the clock, please.
Hi, my name is Marva Michael, and I live in the community and travel that way often. And I've wondered for years what would wind up on that property. And no matter how hard a developer tries, sometimes it's just unsuitable for a piece of land to meet the need to put 100 townhomes on that piece of property. The traffic has increased over the years because it's a very convenient cut through from Fayetteville and to the airport. Has increased the traffic there a great amount. And so it seems to me that building 100 townhomes on that property is just as bad as the two developers that wanted to put a gas station on that corner, a dangerous corner, and were disapproved. And I think for the same reason, this property should be disapproved for that use. Every piece of property in a county doesn't require something be built on it. And this seems to be one of the things that we could do without on that property there. It's very dangerous.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, ma'am. And then, sir, you'll be next.
My name is Elaine Stubbs. I've lived in that community for over 35 years. I've seen changes on top of changes. But for that Creel Road, Flat Shows, 314, across the street there used to be a park for the kids to play in over 30 years ago. It turned out to be a flood area. It flooded so bad until they couldn't play there. So they brought in sofas, chairs, everything they could find to try to build it up. That didn't work. Because you can go to that property right now, stick a reed cane in the ground. As far as it goes down, water is going to come out of that reed cane. And I live off of Camp. You can sit off of Camp trying to get onto Flat Shows, Creel Road to go down. You sit there 15 minutes before you can get out. Once you get out into the street there, once you get down to Creel, it takes you another 10 to 15 minutes to get on 314 to go either way. The traffic, that road needs to be at least 4 lanes. And still, it won't be enough. And putting housing projects there with single families, everybody that lives in that area have children. And the people that are going to move, they're going to start having children. You're going to have 4 or 5 cars in that yard. And it's going to be impossible to have the cars not parking on the street. I've gone down my street sometime and cars are parked on both sides. No emergency vehicle can get through there. I've called Clayton County. Clayton County don't come out. If, God forbid, something really major happens, they can't get in there. So it's the park is there. They want to do something, expand the park, make it more green space there. But that area there, the earth does not perk. So the water has nowhere to go but stay on top of the ground and run. So we do not, God forbid, we do not need anything else built in this area over here because it just it can't take it. Unless you get a 4-lane on 314, a 4-lane on Flat Shows going from 314 out to Old National, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. And I say no, do not build anything in there.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir. You'll be next, ma'am, in the blue in the back.
Hey, good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
Commissioners, Ms. Battle. So I actually live in the adjacent neighborhood. I am not against somebody building something on there, but I am against changing it from residential 280 to what they're proposing. The community that they're proposing is actually, from my understanding, not even geared towards kids. So it's not geared towards families with kids. So this particular area, there's 3 schools right up the street. There's North Clayton High School, and the middle school. So anything that you will build in this area should be for a family that's actually looking to actually, be like the rest of the actual community that's in the area, regular housing. So this 122 units plus the traffic, plus the other things, I don't think it'll be a good fit for Clayton County. I think this will be a disaster. I think going forward, you all will have problems with it. I mean, you already have problems with the community right up the street at Winn-Dixie, which is, not Winn-Dixie, Wayfield, which is the same type of community. 122 units, you're gonna have cars parking on the street. You're gonna have people turning out the incorrect way. You're gonna have more police that's gonna have to actually monitor this unit. If this is built, you will have problems. So I'm against it. I hope you all against it, but I'm not against the actual builder building something. I think they need to stick to single-family detached homes going forward, like the land was actually planned for it. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Can I get your name, please?
I'm sorry. This is Chris Jones.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, Ms. Dale?
Yes, please. You're next.
My name is Mary Keith, and I live in Castlegate subdivision. We have, for the past couple of years, I noticed that it has become more and more difficult to make a left turn on Flat Shows. It is becoming difficult to make a right turn on Flat Shows from Castlegate Drive. Adding 100 units into an area that is we already have traffic problems. And this is just on the Creel Road Flat Shows part of it. On the 314, traffic backs up most days from Godby Road, a little past Godby Road, all the way past 314, past Creole Road, down to Bethsaida or more. So adding 100 units, I think it's not a good idea at all. The traffic is going to be unbearable for us, almost impossible for us to move freely from one point to another. And as the other gentleman said, I'm not against progress. I think we should have something built there. Single-family homes, yes. 100 units with 100, maybe 100 cars, but then if you got 2 people in the house, that's 200 cars. If they got children, that's even more. And in the afternoons, sometimes early mornings, when school is in session, it's going to be a nightmare trying to go from one point to another. So I'm against it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir, you'll be next if there's time.
I'm John Atkins, Clayton County. I live in Thornhedge, and I totally vote against this builder, Blackstone. If you would take a look at that property they built down Old National and Creole Road in that area, it's just congested. It's a mess. If anyone been down in there, they need to go check it out before we let this go through. It's a total mess. And we pray that you all don't let this happen in our county. And we have a quiet right now, low crime area, single development, homeowners. Mostly everyone over there is retired now. And we don't need this. We appreciate it if you don't bring it in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This gentleman in the back in the blue. I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't see you. You'll go after him if there's time.
My name is Johnny Lee, Clayton County. Good evening, commissioners. I'm totally against this situation. It's already zoned for low-density housing, and I don't think it's fair for an outsider to come in and say, hey, we want to change it. But I think we have rights to the community that's been there. I think, you should vote against it because the community is already against it. So I don't see why an outsider can come in there and say, hey, change it, just because they ask. We asking the same thing, not to change it. I think Clayton County is on the verge of becoming the next really great major place because of all the amenities we have or we could have.
I'm sorry, sir, but your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am, time is up. Ms. Battle, you have 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
Thank you. There are a number of points that I would like to make. Number one, as you can see on the site plan that is shown on the screen, we are again saving a significant amount of green space on this site. Many have come to the podium to say we just want a regular single-family subdivision. I find that interesting because all of the green space that we are saving, in order for any single-family developer to get the yield that would be necessary to develop, would end up going into all of these green spaces that you are seeing that are vacant by having to put homes, which means that you're going to actually have less green space on this site and a larger footprint for the community. Additionally, larger homes means more cars, not less cars. A single-family detached home community actually generates more cars than a townhome community. And I know that doesn't sound right to some folks, but the truth of the matter is we have fewer 2 to 3 bedrooms versus 3 to 5 bedrooms that you would have in a single-family detached home. And so if we're concerned about traffic at this intersection, then we are looking at the townhome community as being a way of helping to address the issues over in this area. One of the things that we have done by being willing to volunteer that additional area for the dual turn lane is that we're not using up all of the land that we need to do. We can do that because we can give part of the open space and the additional property that we had to acquire off of West Fayette in order to make the project work. But any other developer would be coming in and seeking, again, to try and utilize all of the area in order to make the project a viable project. We know that, and there were questions that were raised about school capacity. This project will not generate a ton of kids going into the school system. We anticipate that this product will be attractive to both empty nesters as well as young professionals. There has to be a diversity of product throughout this community. When we look across the street, we can't really compare that townhome community to this because of the constraints and restrictions that will be on this community versus that one. We have a rental restriction. None of the surrounding single-family detached homes have any type of rental restriction. Those communities are made up right now of probably more homeowners, but there is nothing in there that stops any of them from selling their homes and renting them out or selling them to investors. That's not the case with this community. And that's not the case with the community across the street, it's a townhome community where it is a higher density. We opted not to go to the highest density levels, even though there were higher density land uses in the immediate area. So when we look at the traffic congestion, we look at this is not going to be a park. I suspect that if it were, the county would have already acquired this property and used it to expand on the park that is down the street. But this is privately owned property with private owned property rights, and certainly the ability to develop the property is something that the property owners have a right to do. Now, obviously, we came in and asked for an amendment to the zoning to allow for a product that we believe is economically viable. Additionally, again, save 70% of this site for green space. Additionally, we are here to help try and resolve the issues with the traffic that I don't see another developer would be willing to do, so that the county does not have to actually acquire the land necessary in order to do the right-of-way improvements to give relief to traffic that's already in the area. So we would respectfully request, again, the approval of this application subject to the conditions applied by staff. We have worked exceedingly hard over the last year to try and address the issues that have been raised. And we certainly hope that you all will be willing to work with our developer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just for the record, Ms. Spann previously read all 14 conditions into the record. Unless you have anything new to add, Ms. Spann, behind that, I will go to Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, is Mr. Ejike in the room?
Yes.
I have some questions, if you are.
He's coming to the podium.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I have several questions, please, and a couple of them were mentioned by some of the citizens or constituents in the audience. But one is, what are the surrounding uses for this property?
The property is bounded on the east by RS 180, and across the street from it you have an RM and 1 GB. On the west, north, and south sides is bounded by RS 180, the same zoning as the subject property.
Okay, well, Mr. Ejike, just for my constituents and other people in the audience, will you spell out what you're saying about the RS 180 and all? Just so they have a clear understanding.
Okay, for whoever is let's look at the map. Where the black star is the property in question. To the west side of it, you will see RS 180. That is the zoning that is the same as the property where the star is. To the north of it, you will see RG 75. Up there to the east, you will see some parcels that are RS 180, but immediately across 314, you will see the RM and the GB. Then on the south side, you will see the RS 180, which is the same zoning as the property in
Mr.
question.
Ajiki, they don't know what RS 180 is.
RS 180 is a residential classification. It's a zoning residential classification that requires each lot to be 18,000 square feet.
Okay, so what can the property be used for now if it's not rezoned?
If it's not rezoned, it can be developed as what is zoned as RS 180. That means each lot will be 18,000 square feet.
Okay. Okay, it was mentioned about the density. Yeah, will you tell us what density means and what's the current density zoning for that property?
Density is how many units or houses you can be that can be built on 1 acre of land. For this zoning classification, which is RS 180, you can get 1 to 4 units per acre in it. So density is simply how many units you can build on 1 acre.
Okay, so is this current application, is it considered low density for the area, for this particular area?
Yes, it's considered low density. The yield, which is, when I say yield, that means what the proposed unit's going to be, it's 3.97. The yield for RS by because they're trying to rezone it to PUD, Plan Unit Development. And so as a Plan Unit Development, based on the 100 lots as proposed, they will get 3.97 units per acre. If you did straight RS 180 at 4 units per acre, the math says you're not going to get that many units in there because of you using larger lot sizes to be able to do that.
So is that considered low, medium, or high density? Or?
This is low. Low density in terms of, because it's low density because of the acreage involved and how many units they are getting, and that's why you heard the applicant state that they are preserving so much of green space. But in terms of the number of units, you will not get 100 in it if you developed the area they're developing with straight RS 180.
Thank you.
You have a recommendation for us, Commissioner Amber?
Yes, I do. Yes, Mr. Chairman of the Board, I'm recommending denial of this request for rezoning.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk.
The next item is the companion item to that one, I believe. Item number 26, LS 2006-009, preliminary plat.
Case number LS 2006-009. The applicant, Battle Law PC, on the behalf of Blackstone Investment Company, is requesting a new 100-unit single-family attached townhome community on 25.17 acres of land. The property currently is zoned RS 180 single-family residential. The request is being proposed for PUD in order to allow the development of the 100-lot subdivision. The subject property is located at 1821 Creel Drive. Project ID is identified on your agenda. Staff recommendations for approval conditional. Zoning advisory group is for approval conditional.
All right, Ms. Battle.
Michelle Battle with Battle Law, 1 West 4th Square.
How many minutes?
4th Square, Decatur, Georgia. We're asking for a tabling of this matter until next month's agenda. Thank you.
Michelle, we actually sounded the preliminary plat as the part 2 to the one that was just acted on. We haven't gotten to the Norman Drive yet.
I have no comments. Thank you.
She's representing the next case, so she thought we might have been on the next case. That's the one that's
Oh,
going to be tabled.
okay. No, we're on the companion case. So do you have anything to say or add for this next companion case, Ms. Battle?
Because the other application was denied, I see no point in having any further comment. I'm extremely disappointed with the last vote, but I can't do anything about it at this point, so I have no comments.
Okay. With that being mentioned, do we still need to do the public comment part?
Yes.
All right, this still is a public hearing. Is there anybody want to speak in favor of applicant's request? This is in reference to the town hall. All right, anybody want to speak in opposition to? Come forward, please. I can't hear you, ma'am.
Is this the Norman Drive, 1620 Norman Drive?
No. Anybody like to speak in opposition to? We are, but it's already been turned down. This is a matter of formality. Would you like to speak? No? Anybody else? Please.
Hello. My name is Felicia Jones. I stay right there at Flat Shows in Creel. My concern is sidewalks.
Is what?
Sidewalks. Down Creel Road, we need sidewalks over there. I see people walking with their kids, like my daughter's age, older people, stuff like that. It's very dangerous. It's raining. I think it's just something that needs to be done about that.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody want to speak in opposition to this request? Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, Chairman and Board, I recommend denial.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next.
Next item is item number 28, BOC-2010-0064, CUP to allow a food pantry and a clothing donation center.
Agenda item BOC 2010-0064. The applicant, Diane Collins, on behalf of Faith Walk Ministries, Inc., is requesting a conditional use permit in a GB General Business District to allow a food pantry and clothing donation center within the existing building. The property is located across from Faith Walk Ministries at 6109 Riverdale Road. The parcel ID is identified on your agenda. The parcel of land is 0.89 acres of land. The staff recommendation is for approval conditional. The zoning advisory group recommendation is for approval conditional. This request is for decision only. I'll state that this request was tabled from the past agenda, since March actually, to allow the property to address several site improvements that were identified that needed upgrading. The applicant has performed those improvements and have received the appropriate site visits and inspections, and have also submitted photographs showing the progress of the work done on the property. Staff recommendation and ZAG recommendation includes 3 recommended conditions. Those conditions are as stated. The proposed community food and clothing pantry center may not expand beyond the existing 4,744 square feet in the existing building. Any expansion beyond that will require a new conditional use permit. Condition number 2, all volunteer employees' parking spaces must be paved and striped. Condition number 3, provide a 3-sided enclosed dumpster area with compatible architectural materials matching the main building. Those are the 3 recommended conditions.
Okay, now applicants are before us again. I'm starting to think we're family. We see you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to
State your names,
Vice
please.
Chairman. My name is Diane Collins, and I live in DeKalb County in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I just want to recognize all of the commissioners and thank all of you for everything you've done throughout this process. And you certainly have my condolences on the passing of Commissioner Gregory and her family in District 1. Our thoughts are with all of you. All right, we had 3 other things. Well, how many things did we have to do? I'm not going to go down that long list I did last time.
Just said we completed.
Right.
Amen.
We were told we needed to complete a 3-sided enclosure for our trash dumpster at the site, which we had built, and we got that completed. There it is. And then also we have striped the parking spaces for our staff, which will be a very small staff, but we're mostly using volunteers. And a lot of those volunteers are college students, teenagers that are needing to just do some community service. So we know that the main parking spaces will be taken care of. So we've done that as well.
Okay. This
Those
is
are the
for
only-
this. This
So we're
is for
asking
this.
for your approval.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
We're
Yeah.
just asking for your approval.
Okay. All right. This is decision only. Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, Chairman and Board, I recommend approval with conditions for this project.
All right. I'll second the motion. Are there any other questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's
Thank you.
unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
I would publicly like to thank our parishioners, our members, who stepped up. The cost of this expansion, well, not expansion, but this project came straight out of their pockets with no outside help, except we did have one county official, and I won't call any names, who personally donated their funds to help this project. And
Well, we thank you for what you're about to do for the citizens of Clayton County and with the use of this pantry. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
The next item is item number 29, BOC 2103-0101, PUD rezone RM to PUD for 18 attached townhomes.
Agenda item BOC 2103-0101, the applicant Greg Stringer on behalf of GBS Clayton LLC is requesting to rezone 2.33 acres of land from multifamily residential district to PUD, planned unit development, for 18 single-family residential attached townhomes. The subject property is located at 1620 Norman Drive, which is further known as the parcel ID, which is identified on your agenda. The property is located east of Norman Drive and west of Fayetteville Road intersection. The staff recommendation was for approval conditional. The zoning advisory group recommendation is for denial.
Petitioners present. This is Ms. Battle.
Michelle Battle is representing this case, and she has submitted a request to table this for 30 additional days. We do have that in writing.
Ms. Battle. Just
Yes.
asking again that you are confirming that you would like to table for 30 days.
Yes, I would, thank you.
What would that date be, Ms. Span?
Apologize for that.
July 20th.
July 20th, next BOC meeting.
All right, Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to table this for the next zoning meeting, which was that July 20th?
Yes, ma'am.
July 20th, 21.
All right, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is item number 30, which is plat 2103-0019, a plat approved for the 18 single-family attached townhomes, which goes with the item we just had.
Yes, agenda item number P plat 2103-0019, the application for a preliminary plat. The applicant, Greg Stringer, on behalf of GBS Clayton LLC, is requesting to develop 18 residential attached townhomes on 2.33 acres of land, property zone REM multifamily. The proposal is for it to go to PUD to allow for that development. The subject property is located at 1620 Norman Drive. The parcel ID number is identified on your agenda. The staff recommendation begins for approval conditional. The zoning advisory group recommended denial. And again, the request to table this was also addressed with the applicant's request. that would be for the 30 days to July 20th.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, I move that we table this item until July 20th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next item is item number 31, which is BOC 2103-0103 CUP to allow for home bakery business.
Agenda item BOC 2103-0103. The applicant, Ashante Griffin, is requesting a conditional use permit for a home cottage food, which would be a home bakery business, on property that's .72 acres of land. The subject property is zone RS 180, single family. It's located at 8211 Yale Drive in Jonesboro, Georgia. The parcel ID number is identified on your agenda. This property is located within the Foxfire subdivision, which is located off of Walt Stevens Road and Seven Oaks Drive. The staff recommendation is for approval conditional, and the zoning advisory group recommendation is for approval conditional. The two conditions recommended are: the requested conditional use is limited to use by owner Ashante Griffin. A property ownership change will result in the discontinuation of the granted conditional use permit. Condition number 2, no signage shall be placed on the property for marketing the business.
Is the petitioner present? Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Ashante Griffin.
Ms. Griffin, before you get started, would you like to reserve any minutes for a rebuttal if somebody oppose your application?
Yeah, sure.
2 or 3 minutes or so.
Okay, that's fine.
2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
All right, put 8 minutes on the clock. You may proceed, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Ashante Griffin. I live in Jonesboro at 8211 Yale Drive, which is by the beach and by the golf course. I am a full-time teacher at Mundy's Mill, and I would like to do a cottage business in my home as a form of secondary income. And that's it. I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Does anybody want to speak in opposition to applicant's request? Anybody in opposition? I'm sorry, in favor of. Horse, got the cart in front of the horse. Anybody want to speak in favor of? Now, anybody want to speak in opposition to? The two conditions that Ms. Spann read, are you in agreement with those conditions? Yes. Commissioner Davis.
Yes. I guess we just want to, can you explain what the cottage is? Because a lot of folks, I got a bunch of calls about that, just to kind of explain to the public what they can and cannot do as far as.
The cottage food terminology more or less comes from the Department of Agriculture, because they regulate these type of businesses, and they refer to them as cottage foods because they're a small industry, food-related business that can be operated from a single-family residence. In the Clayton County Code, these type of industries, because they could generate increased utilities, do require a conditional use permit in order for them to operate out of a single-family home. And by going through this conditional use permit process, it establishes the opportunity to have a public hearing so that the surrounding property owners are aware of what's planned and intended.
Okay. And they cannot sell out of the home, is that correct?
Right, they cannot. They're only allowed to perform the operations of preparing the foods and then taking them out.
Okay, and you understand that? Yes. Great. I move that we approve her request to open a cottage foods in her home.
All right, I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
The next item is item number 32, BOC 2104-0104, CUP to allow a car wash facility.
Agenda item BOC 2104-0104. The applicant, John Jordan, on behalf of FH&L Holdings, LLC, is requesting a conditional use permit for a car wash facility on 1 acre of land. The subject property is zoned general business and located at 3520 Highway 138, Stockbridge, Georgia. Parcel ID number is shown on your agenda. The property is located near the intersection of Mount Zion Road and Highway 138. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional. Zoning Advisory Group, recommendation is also for approval conditional. There are 5 recommended conditions. Those conditions read, the site shall be limited to a car wash facility only. All trash and refuse areas are to be enclosed on 3 sides with brick and other masonry materials consistent with the primary building. No outside vending machines. Maintain the existing landscape area along the Mount Zion Road frontage. And condition number 5 was been struck out because the access from this property will be from the Peridot Parkway, which is where the current access is now for the former car wash facility, and that is a internal drive, so it's not subject to any review by the county as it relates to access by T&D. So we just struck that condition. So there's only 4 recommended conditions on this property.
All right, petitioner.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Jordan. I'm with Hecht Walker PC, 205 Corporate Center Drive, Suite B, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281.
How many minutes would you like to say for rebuttal?
I'll save 2 minutes, please.
2 minutes.
And before I start, I do have a few handouts just to acclimate to the property.
Just give me a moment.
We represent the owner of the subject property, which is FH&L Holdings, LLC. Manny Kalianides is the owner of that company. He's with us here tonight. He'll be able to answer any questions that you may have that are detailed about the business or the property itself. We're requesting a conditional use permit to be able to continue the operation of a car wash at this property. The property is located at 3520 Highway 138. That's right off of I-75, the 138 exit, and at the Mount Zion Road intersection. And for all that know this area, it's right behind the Piccadilly restaurant and right next to the Kroger shopping center as you're going into Stockbridge. This property has been used as a car wash for nearly 18 years. And it's actually been zoned general business for about the same amount of time, I believe in 2008. General business used to allow for a car wash as a permitted use as a matter of right, but a few years ago, while the previous owner had it, that was amended to make it a conditional use instead of permitted use. Our client's here tonight to request a conditional use permit to be able to continue that use for a car wash, but under a different brand and a heightened first-class modern car wash. And you'll see on the screen there is a plat that shows the improvements that's going to occur on the property. My client purchased the property in November of last year, along with the prior owner's car wash business assets, and intending to continue a car wash operation as well. The improvements, as far as the improvements go, the footprint's going to essentially be the same. There'll be no additional impervious surface added. The structures, my client will make use of the existing structures, but it's going to have a substantial facelift to them. The substantive changes of note would be, as you can see right there, there's a wing that used to be used by the previous owner as a oil change bay. There'll be no oil changes. This is just a car wash, so that's going to be removed. There'll also be a partial second-story area built above the new entrance that'll be used for storage. And if you look at, I believe it's page 4 of your handout, that is the way the property currently looks as inherited by the previous owner. That's what my client's going to be upgrading and modernizing and enhancing. The first page will show you a rendering of what my client is going to be doing to improve the property. In addition to the property enhancements, my client anticipates his business will bring about 6 to 8 full-time jobs in the area, possibly 10 to 12 if business gets really, really good. And in addition to that, with, of course, the property enhancements and improvements, the value of the property will increase significantly, which will also increase the property tax revenue for the county as well, in addition to the business sales tax. Staff has recommended approval of this item, subject to conditions that we're completely happy with and agreeable to. And the zoning advisory group unanimously voted to recommend approval as well. And we would just ask this board to follow those recommendations and grant approval of the conditional use permit. And with that, I'm glad to answer any questions. My client's here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Anybody would like to speak in favor of petitioner's request? Anybody in favor? Come forward. Oh, you almost got me on that one. All right. Anybody want to speak in favor? In opposition to? Anybody want to speak in opposition to? Okay. I do have one question. How long has it been closed down?
It continued to operate as a legal non-conforming use through the end of last year. I believe maybe into December before it was vandalized. And so now, in order to rebrand it under a new name and get a new business license and do the upgrades needed, we wanted to get a conditional use permit to give us the leeway to do that. So as soon as we're able to get a conditional use permit, it'll be, those improvements will be forthcoming and it'll be back up in operation.
Ms. Spann, did you already read the conditions?
Yes, I did read the conditions. Those are there are 4 recommended conditions.
That's right, you did read
On
them.
the screen, yes.
All right, and you are in agreement?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. I've been out to that location several times and very familiar with it, and just went last week to look again. And those improvements that you're talking about is definitely going to give a upgrade to that whole area. Everybody I spoke to, nobody was really in opposition to it. Otherwise, they would have probably showed up.
Sure.
So with that being said, I'm going to recommend to the board that we approve petitioner's application. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Probably move second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The next item is item number 33, VOC 2104-0109, CUP to allow for a special event center.
Come forward, petitioner. Is the petitioner here?
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner, Board of Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Enrique Nanez. This is my wife, Aurora Martinez.
Yes, before you start,
Excuse me,
let's
sorry.
get the lay of the land.
Yeah, sorry. VOC 2104-0109, the applicant is Aurora Martinez, requesting a conditional use permit for a special event facility within an existing building located on 1.63 acres of land. The subject property is currently zoned general business and is located at 2821 Mount Zion Road, Jonesboro. Parcel ID number is identified on your agenda. The property is located just east of Fielder Road and Mount Zion Road intersection. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional. The zoning advisory group recommendation is also for approval conditional. There are 3 recommended conditions. The recommendations read, the proposed special event center may not expand beyond the existing 5,900 square foot building. Condition number 2, provide on-site parking to accommodate the approved capacity per the fire marshal and parking standards. Overflow parking may be provided on adjacent property with a shared parking agreement. Condition number 3, exterior string lights are prohibited. Those are the 3 conditions recommended by staff and zoning advisory group.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, hi. My name is Enrique Nanez, and this is Aurora Martinez, Henry County.
How many minutes would you like to reserve in rebuttal?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Please proceed, I'm sorry.
We purchased this building back in September for a event center, or event facility. It was an existing event facility prior for us purchasing it from the previous renter that was in the building. We did receive several approvals prior to going in and remodeling, as far as we repainted the building and the inside. We put some new flooring, we changed out the plumbing fixtures and put new fixtures in the building. It is a completed building, finished already and ready for, we do get the approval, ready to function as a business in Clayton County. We are asking for the conditional use permit with the conditions that are set forth, we understand.
And accept those conditions.
We did purchase the adjacent property for additional parking, so we own the adjacent property as well.
Okay. Is there anyone here like to speak in favor of this petitioner's request? Anybody in favor? Anybody in opposition? Oh, wait a minute. In favor or opposition? Okay, you can come forward. You gotta do something about that. What you call it?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Lisa Cameron. I live at 5369 Ruin Court, not very far from this property. And I just want to say that I believe that it would bring some employment to the area. And I just, want to see the diversity in the area. So I'm in favor of this project, and I'm hoping that it would bring the diversity that we need.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else in favor? Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? All right. Do you have any last 2 minutes worth of anything? Okay. I went over there last week as well. I like what you did with the facade of it. It looks real nice. Would also ask that you continue to upkeep the front landscaping looking as good as it looks now. And with that being said, there's no impact into this immediate area. So with that being said, I'm going to recommend that we approve the petition. Is there a second?
I second.
Any questions? All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a executive session?
Yes, on real estate, personnel, and litigation.
All right, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for real estate, litigation, and personnel. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Commissioner Gail Hambrick.
Present.
Commissioner Felicia Franklin.
I'm here.
Commissioner Demont Davis.
Present.
Madam Clerk, we are present and accounted for. A motion to reconvene.
So move.
I'll second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Reed.
I have one claim for financial responsibility relating to the claimant is Ramona Starks Pete. The payee is Nissan Motor Acceptance Corporation in the amount of $21,700.84 relating to an incident that occurred on January 5th, 2021 at Highway 85 at Valley Mill Road due to a collision. This is a property damage claim.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
That's all I have.
The personnel.
All right. I guess I'll be doing this one. All right. So this is a request to offer employment to Elias Evans at a grade 23, step 27 at $67,420.08.
Which
And that's
department?
for transportation and development as a fleet technician superintendent.
All right, is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Good night.